Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we moved into this home just over a year ago. It's a new build and this is our second full summer living year. So this summer we decided to take on a mini project of transforming this backyard into this nice livable smart backyard that we currently have right now. So if you're interested in getting something like this done on a budget, keep watching to see how we got this done. It is crazy that just a couple of weeks ago this space was just dirt, and then we installed grass, we installed the fence, put it in underground sprinklers, and now it's time to get to the pretty and nice stuff.
We started with the deck. It had so much potential, but it needed love. After a brutal winter, the boards were starting to weather. The deck is made from pressure-treated wood, which means it's been treated with preservatives to resist rot and insects. But that treatment also leaves wood too moist to stain right away. It is generally recommended to wait at least a full season for it to dry properly, so now was the perfect time. When it comes to staining or painting wood, your results are only as good as your prep work. Otherwise, you're just putting a lipstick on a pig, or in this case, on a deck. I started by cleaning the surface. I used the leaf blower to get into all the nooks and crannies and clear away dust and debris. Then I mixed a 1-part solution of bare wood cleaner and brightener with 1 part water in a pump sprayer. But before applying it, I soaked the entire deck with water using the retractable hose we had installed in our previous video. It's a 100-foot hose by Vivor, and it made the job so much easier because I could get to pretty much every part of the deck with this hose. After spraying the solution across the deck and letting it sit for about 15 minutes, I scrubbed everything with a stiff bristle brush and a bucket of the same solution and then rinsed it off thoroughly. Now, this helps open the pores of the wood so the stain can soak in better, and it brightens up the wood as well. It's faster than sanding the entire surface, especially if wood is in good condition and you're not trying to change the colors. After waiting 48 hours for it to fully cure, I used the moisture meter to test the wood to make sure it was under 15%. I also did a porosity check by sprinkling a drop of water on the wood to see if it absorbed. If it's soaked in, the wood is dry and ready. Now that's important because if the wood isn't dry, the stain won't bond properly. Before staining, I sanded the surface, focusing on the rough or raised areas using 60 grit sandpaper with my orbital sander. Then I finished it off with 80 and 100 grit across the entire surface to make it smooth. I used the leaf blower again to clear out all the dust and prepped it for staining. We decided to go with Seco Prolux semi-transparent stain in cedar. It's an oil-based stain, which means it penetrates deep into the wood and brings out the natural grain and texture. That's exactly the look we were going for. I taped off all the edges near the siding and removed the railings ahead of time. Now that made staining easier and reduced the amount of taping needed. Using a 4-inch extra large brush, I applied the stain 2 boards at a time, walking along the grain. Since the deck is south facing and gets full sun all day, I started early in the morning. Applying stain in direct sunlight can cause flashing, where it dries on the surface before it soaks in properly. The extra large brush made the job go faster. I kept both ends of the boards wet to avoid lap marks. Once the stain dries, you can't apply another coat right away. In the end, the stain turned out nice, but definitely redder than we expected. We were aiming for a more natural tone, but the stain brought out the red pigmentation already in the pressure treated wood. We also had some uneven color, but that's normal. Wood grain, porosity and density all vary, so the stain reacts differently from board to board. After another 48 hours, I reinstalled the railings, but only on the side with the big drop. We left the other side open, and I'll admit, the deck looks much cleaner, bigger and more open without them. And just as I finished everything, it rained. Thankfully not before it was fully dried.
So, on to the next thing, which is the side yard and a dedicated grilling area. So, we had to move the barbecue off the deck, mostly to free up space, and that meant creating a dedicated grilling area. We didn't need anything massive, just a simple 4 by 5 foot space. We went with paver stones, nothing fancy, just clean and functional. Now, we have never done anything like this before, but like most projects around here, a bit of Google, some AI magic, and YouTube, and also Ty, the DIY guy, really came through. We measured the area, which was about 20 square feet in total, and grabbed 90 Oldcastle Holland pavers from Home Depot. Each brick was about 8 by 4 inches. We laid it all out using the basic math and some ChatGPT. Honestly, we're not gonna lie, ChatGPT really came through with this project. But before the bricks were laid, we had to do a lot of dirt work. So Ty dug about 6 inches down to get rid of all the sticky clay soil. But here's where we messed up a bit. We forgot the landscape fabric. So yeah, we had to pull all the gravel out, lay the fabric, and then bring in 4 inches of road crush, tempered it all down to be nice and solid.
I picked up bedding sand, also called paver sand, from a local supply place and oiled it in buckets. It's coarse and free draining, perfect for leveling and supporting the pavers. To get it smooth, I laid down 1 inch pipe on both ends of the space, poured the sand, and used a piece of wood to screed it evenly. It took a couple of tries to get this right as well. Then came the fun part, laying the pavers. I made a small mistake here too. You're not supposed to walk on the bed in sand before laying the stones, but by the time I realized that, I had already started laying the stones. So I figured it would not be a big deal. I continued laying the bricks in staggered patterns and didn't have to cut any pieces. Home Depot sells half bricks as well, which made this easier. For the borders, I used rubber landscape edging. If I were to do it again, I'd use metal. It's way sturdier. Edging is more than just a visual frame. It's what keeps your pavers from shifting over time.
So it was my time to jump in and help lay some landscape fabric around the space. Pinned it down, and then we filled it in crushed gravel using a rake to spread it evenly.
Once everything was in place, I used the leaf blower to clear off debris and prepped for the final step, polymeric sand. This locks the brick together by filling the joints and hardening when activated with water. I poured the sand, brushed it into the joints, tampered it down with a rubber mat, and then mixed it to activate the bond. Then I added one more layer of protection, gravel glue. The gravel area is part of a walking path and people kept kicking stones over onto the pavers. So I mixed a 1-to-1 ratio of gravel glue and water in a pump sprayer and applied it across the surface. It helps bind the top layer of the gravel together without turning it into concrete. Water still drains through it, so it's eco-friendly and permeable, but it keeps the stone from shifting or scattering. Honestly, it made a big difference in keeping the space clean and low maintenance. When we first laid the grass, we installed it right up to the edge of the fence, and honestly, it just looked a bit plain. So I decided to add some contrast and definition by cutting out a 1-foot border all the way around the yard to make room for gravel and plants. We were also having issues with the soil still settling all around the property. We had some pretty intense rainfall that made areas around the property settle by more than 4 inches. When we initially laid the grass, it was right up against the sidewalk, but now the sidewalk is much higher and the lawnmower can't even make it out on its own anymore. So I decided to switch all the edging to gravel so that I can continue to top it up as it continues to settle over time. I installed a 2-inch rubber edging along the entire perimeter and laid landscape fabric to help minimize weed growth. Then I planted 2 shrubs and finished it off by topping the bed with white decorative gravel, which, I'll be honest, ended up costing more than I expected. If I had known, I probably would have done a 6-inch cutout instead of a full 12 inches just to reduce the amount of gravel needed. But in the end, it looked really good and added a nice polished feel to the lawn. I did something similar along the short concrete retaining wall, but instead of using rubber edging, I reused some old brick edges I had laying around. I didn't have many of them, so using them in the small section was perfect. It also helped reduce how much white gravel I needed to fill that 1-foot border along that edge. I also noticed that the area between the deck and the side gate was getting a ton of traffic, and that constant use was starting to damage my grass, so I decided to fix it. I picked up some irregularly shaped stepping stone from Home Depot and laid them out to test spacing and the flow. I gave it a day of walking back and forth to make sure the walking strides felt right. Once I was happy with the layout, I used the kitchen knife to cut out the sword in the shape of that irregular paving stone and took it out. And then I removed the additional 3 inches of the soil underneath. I filled each hole with road crushed gravel, tampered it down for stability, and then added a thin layer of paving sand to level the base. After placing each stone, I filled in any exposed edge around them with compost mixed with grass seed so that the lawn would eventually grow back clean around the stones.
Okay, now back to the deck. Since it's south facing, it gets full sun all day, like baking hot sun. We didn't need any more melanin, so we went to Costco, picked up a 10 by 10 umbrella. We installed the base, filled the weights with water, attached the umbrella, and it's all done. Really wanted a smart automation option, but everything was either ugly or overpriced. And remember, we're trying to keep this on a budget, so we settled for a manual umbrella. There's a wand to rotate it and tilt it. It works for now. The only issue is the height. I wanted the umbrella on the ground next to the deck, but it wasn't tall enough, so it had to go on the deck, which took up a little bit of space. Originally, we wanted a sectional, but I really wanted a 4-piece set instead, so I guess I won. We picked it up from Walmart, and honestly, it was easier to put together than any IKEA furniture we've ever built, and it went for about $600 for the entire set.
Beyond just furnitures, we brought in some greenery to really make the deck pop. We added some artificial cedar trees for outdoors. They are about 4 foot high, but we placed them on stands to kind of give them some elevation. Then I took it a step further. I actually screwed each plant to the stand and then screwed the stand directly to the deck. This ensures that they stay put no matter how windy it gets. The Fox UV resistant design means they'll look great with minimal fuzz year round.
We have been getting a lot of rain in southern Alberta this summer, so we got some Scotch Guard for the patio furniture. Though we still have a patio furniture cover, we still want to protect the furniture for the spontaneous rainfalls that we've been getting. So for the off chances that we don't have time to actually cover the furniture, the Scotch Guard should at least protect it to a certain degree. So we're going to spray this on and see if this actually makes the furniture a little bit waterproof. So yeah, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our furniture and our things just so that we're not having to buy new things every summer. So hopefully this furniture lasts a couple of summers.
You know my space is never complete without smart tech and lighting. For lighting, I added an LED strip along the edge of the perimeter where I put the white gravel. I picked up this 100-foot IP65 outdoor rated curb LED strip on Amazon. I wrapped it around the yard right against the rubber edging. For areas without the edging, like near the back door and the front door, I used an aluminum diffuser channel to embed the light into the grass. I simply used landscape pegs to hold the diffuser channels in place. This LED strip isn't smart, so no app controls. So in order to automate it, I added a smart outdoor light strip. This strip comes with 2 independently controlled outlets. I connected one to the LED strip and the other to my lawnmower charger. Using the Smart Life app, I was able to bring it directly into Home Assistant to set up automations. Now, between 7 p.m. and midnight, the light comes on. After that, it turns off and the solar light I have installed takes over from there. I've also added Eve flare for some mood lighting. This is a portable battery-powered light that works with Apple HomeKit. You pair it with HomeKit app and you can adjust the brightness and set the different colors. It lasts up to 6 to 8 hours on a single charge, and at the end of the night, I bring it in and put it on its charging base. It's not just for outdoor use, it can go pretty much anywhere inside of the house too. To track the moisture and humidity level for plants and grass, I installed a third reality humidity sensor. It simply goes into the pot or grass like a peg. This sensor uses Zigbee and I've paired it up to the third reality Matter compatible Zigbee bridge. From there, it integrates over Matter into other platforms. Every evening, it measures the humidity and if levels are low, I have an automation that turns on the watering schedule on my Ratio sprinkler system where I have programmed the zones and how long each should run for. For plants not reached by the sprinkler, it sends an alert to our phone reminding us to water them. To round out the setup, I've added an Eve weather station to the deck. It's outdoor rated and battery powered, so it just sits out there year round, tracking real-time temperature, humidity and barometric pressure. Now, instead of relying on whatever the weather app says for the whole city, I get a localized data exactly where I spend time. The pressure trend icon shows whether skies are likely to clear or cloud over right in the app or directly on the device. It uses thread over Matter so it works smoothly with my Apple Home setup. When it was finally time to fully enjoy the deck, we faced an unexpected challenge: flies and mosquitoes.
So we learned a little hack using pine sol, some water, and dish soap to repel insects and mosquitoes. So we're going to do a little bit of mixing and we'll spray it and see if that actually works. Equal parts water and equal parts pine sol. I literally don't care if the pine sol is spilling everywhere because it's supposed to be repelling insects and mosquitoes, so let it get everywhere. I think that's good. I'm gonna put a few drops of dish soap just so it sticks. I think that's good. Yeah, let's spray this in all the edges and corners and hope it works. We're also not supposed to spray directly on fabric and on plants because it will destroy the plants and fabric because of the pine sol. So it's just gonna go in all the corners and edges of the doors and on other things that we don't think it's gonna destroy.
For multimedia and entertainment, I do bring out my XGME Horizon X Max projector from inside of my media room and I bring it out here so we can use it and enjoy the space if we want to consume content or just listen to music. Now, I had previously installed this projector in my media room in a previous video. If you would like to check out all the features, the specs, I do go over all of that in that video down below. Now, this projector comes with a ton of features that makes it ideal for even use outside of a media room and outdoor space like this. For example, this is a 3100 lumen laser projector, so this thing lights up the entire space at night time, so I'm never worried about the brightness of the display because it is crisp and clear, and with that 4K Dolby Vision, man, the fact that I'm projecting it against my fence does not do justice to how good this projector is. Although my plan is to be able to eventually solve this problem with a projector screen at some point down the line, but for now, for a make-do or makeshift scenario, this thing blows my mind with how good of a quality it is. Now, it uses a standard 1/4 inch male thread, which means you can use it with pretty much any standard tripod. Although HGME sells a tripod specifically for this projector as well, but I've decided not to use a tripod for this. I just place it on the base of my deck. Now, this thing can be tilted both up, down, and it can also swivel as well, so this makes it very flexible for most scenario and conditions. It comes with Android TV, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, so you pretty much don't need anything else to use this projector. I just basically unclip it from my media room, place it out here, turn it off, and we're good to rock and roll. Now, when it comes to sound and audio quality, this thing is packing a 24-watt Amman Kadon speaker. Now, that speaker, if you know Amman Kadon, you know they make really great quality speakers. And I never use this thing even at 60 or 70%. I'm always using it at sub 50% because I'm outdoors and I have neighbors, so I try to be considerate of others. Normally, I don't usually care about the speakers and projectors because I never use them. I usually have, my own sound system that I use, but this is the first time I'm using a projector in this scenario, and now this is definitely an important thing to consider when you're buying a projector, especially a portable one that you can use. Overall, we're thrilled with how the backyard turned out and are officially ready for the season. This backyard started out as a blank slate, and now it's our favorite place to hang out. It's functional, low maintenance, and feels like an extension of the house. We've learned a ton along the way, made a few mistakes, and got our hands dirty, but it was absolutely worth it. If you're thinking about tackling your own outdoor space, start small, plan ahead, and don't be afraid to experiment. You'll be surprised at what you can build with a little grit and a good playlist. Product links are in the description if you're interested in any of them. Thank you for joining me on this journey of transforming our backyard into an haven of comfort and style. We hope this inspires you to create your own outdoor oasis. I'll catch y'all in the next one.